leave the issue of young people, UNFPA has stated that a country with both increasing numbers of young people and declining fertility rate has the potential to reap a demographic dividend. No, not the much talked about democracy dividend. Do you reckon that Nigeria is aware of this factor?
Yes, Nigeria is aware. In fact, this is not new because we did talk to the last government as well. We actually did a study with the World Economic Forum on demographic dividend. We at UNFPA have been talking to about 22 governments in Africa. And one of the things that I will tell you today, which was in May 2012, I spoke to President Museveni. When I was going to see him, my rep in Uganda said, "You're wasting your time. He's not even going to listen to you." And truly, when I got him, he said, "Oh, they've sent you to me because you're an African. Your predecessor from Saudi Arabia, couldn't talk to me." I said, "Yeah, but let's sit down and talk." I spoke to him for 2 hours. We were exchanging. By the time I left, he saw what needed to be done. I invited him to the family planning conference in London. He accepted. And when I spoke to number 10 that he's coming, everybody was asking me, "What's he coming to tell us?" I said, "Well, you listen, he's president." He came, he spoke very well. He went back to Uganda and gave a $5 million grant to the family planning program in Uganda. It was significant. About a year later, they invited me to the first family planning conference in Uganda, at which he, Museveni, launched the demographic dividend program for Uganda as the basis for national planning. So what I'm saying is we are succeeding in many parts. We're also talking to government here. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to keep coming back until I persuade them that every young person on the street is a potential asset, much more than an oil rig somewhere in Southeast, because that is where it's going to happen. That's where sustainability is going to come from the assets of young people, not anywhere else.
There's a lot of focus on girl-child education now. The conservatives say that with better education for women, dramatic social changes can also occur, such as increasing divorce rates, postponement of marriage, and single-person households. How do we mitigate these potential social problems?
Without education, divorce rates in many parts of this country amongst women who are not educated is very high. When you educate a girl child, you give her rights, you give her empowerment. She knows exactly what to expect from partnerships. She knows exactly what life should be, and that's what we should do. We should not now hold them back because we don't want those things to happen. Now, I want to say, and I think, talk about the men folk, and one of them, men should accept gender equality. It's a given for proper development. And the countries of the world where gender equality has been accepted and is in practice, we actually see great progress in human development than we can ever imagine. I tell you what, and I speak proudly of it, when I go to Kigali, Rwanda, where 60% or thereabouts of the parliament of Rwanda are women, and equal opportunity in cabinet in Rwanda, women are participating. Progress, that is one of the best performing countries in development in Africa. So whether we want to believe it or not, that's where we should go, and that's what I think we should be doing.
Let's get down to brass tacks now. How does a mother talk to her adolescent daughter about sexuality education?
I think it's important. Every mother does talk about it, but in different ways. After all, when a little girl has her first period, the mother talks to her about, you're a different person now. You're a girl, you're a boy. This is what's going to happen to you over time, and this is your vulnerability. These are your responsibilities. These are the things that you have to do to ensure that you can maintain your dignity and respect. And I think we have scripts that we can we can actually give to the ordinary person to be able to do this and do it effectively. But I tell you what, I know it's difficult. And I give you a story which is interesting for me. I was talking to my mates, and we're talking about what we were doing. And so I said, I work for UNFPA, I do this, and I said, oh, okay, very good. And then we got to the point of, comprehensive sexuality education. Some of them who are obstetricians cannot even talk to their daughters. So I know, there's a cultural thing to it, and it's difficult to crack. But I think we have to go forward and just make it simple for people to do. And then, of course, public education is very important. You see, when the public is rent with information, it's easy for parents to say, you see what they're saying, and then we can take it from there. And I will exemplify it. I worked with HIV. When I took over HIV in 2001, 2002, this country was in denial. Only 10% of this country actually believed there was HIV. But what we did, and with all of you in the media and everything, what we did was we started bombarding this country with information. And wherever you went, radio, television, billboards, everything, we had people, you couldn't escape it. You had to listen to us. By the time I left, 8 years later, we had like 90% now saying, okay, we know it exists. Now, it went further with some of the information, how it is transmitted, how you can protect yourself. All that information was now, dinner table conversation with children. And I tell you, it was important. The cell phone companies collaborated with us. Every Friday, we sent a message to the demographic of 15 to 24. University students, and my girls and my son were in school then, they waited for it. So they always read, oh yeah, okay, we know what to do now. We know what not to do. So I think it's important, but I think we need to scale up. We also need to make it easy for people to pass on that information.
We'll talk about HIV and all the issues surrounding it a little later, but sexual violence is another topic that is often talked about in hushed tones. How can we bring this to the front burner in Africa?
The issue of sexual violence also is something we have to define very clearly. And I think we have to look at it globally. Domestic violence and sexual violence is the most common pathology we have in the world. 1 in 3 women in their lifetime, 1 in 3 women would suffer domestic and sexual violence. 1 in 3. It's amazing. But because it is so hushed, and to the extent that even the police and the judicial system don't think it is something they have to deal with. I mean, you go to the police, it's you and your husband, go and settle it. This is not us. So there has to be a reconstruction of this to bring it to the level of conversation. We should and do something about it. I think where we should start is education of boys and girls. Boys must respect girls as equal. I think the socialization process in society is one which actually tries to give men superiority. Now that has to change. There should be no impunity about sexual violence. So if you violate a woman, you should be reported and the system should deal with it. Now the impunity is not just about reporting, and I see judges sometimes don't take it seriously, and it takes time to dispense justice. So you should take it all to the logical conclusion. So education, being able to get people to understand it, but also being able to send a strong message that if you do it, you'll be punished. And I think that's where to go.